and welcome back to Cuckoo for Books. My name is Salva and today I will be doing a book review on Kirsten White's And I Darken. I really enjoyed this book. It is an alternative version of Vlad the Impaler, except Vlad is a girl. I do not know much about the original history of Vlad the Impaler. That's all I can say. The alternative part is that Vlad is a girl. So it's a story about Vlad's youth. Ladislava, that is her name in this book. What I really enjoyed about this book is that it takes you through her youth, like from the moment she was born, and spends time in her, like, I guess you'd call it a developmental stage, and you learn why she is the way she is. From the flap of the book it says, "No one expects a princess to be brutal, and Lada Draguila likes it that way." So it's always that thing where if you sell your book as violent, you have to make sure you live up to it, and sometimes it doesn't, just like if you sell your book as funny and then it's not. When I first read that, like, oh, it's gonna be another brutal princess who really isn't brutal at all. And then you read the first few pages and it's literally 3-year-old Lada chewing a kid's leg, not off, literally biting down, and I'm like, okay, this kid is brutal. She really earns that word. I really liked how it takes us through her journey of like why she's a violent little child. I would like to say that the book says we get a lot of impaling. Now, I am not a violent sort, but I felt cheated because there was not as much impaling as I wanted. It was very emotionally driven, this novel. There wasn't a lot of action. If you're there for big battle scenes or violence or plot twists or anything like that, there isn't a lot of that. It's really more about how these three characters, Lada, her brother Radu, and Mehmed, I want to say that's how you pronounce his name, the heir to the Turkish throne, and it's really how these three people grow up and how they develop as characters, and it's very strongly written that way. The book promises a lot of action and violence, and there isn't as much as I would have preferred. I feel like, you know, the audience members of like the gladiator fights who are like, boo, why did the fight end? I want more violence, oh, blood. That's how I feel right now, and I feel really bad about it. Another thing I really loved about this novel is that it delved into the Islamic culture and religion. We talk about diversity in terms of race a lot, and I feel like this book brought to life the topic that, you know, there can also be diversity in YA in terms of religion. That was really cool to learn about, and something that I didn't expect at all. I was like, I'm here for a Dracula retelling. Oh, I didn't expect learning about this other culture. That's pretty dang cool. I really loved how this book not only gender bent the character of Vlad, but also Lada is not girly at all, and her brother is a very sensitive character. He's not a warrior. They're very opposite in terms of stereotypical gender roles. So I really enjoyed how the book played with that, and it just made me love Radu even more. If I was his older sister, oh man, he would just be like chubby and fat, and I would just never let him out of my sight. He's too sweet. And now for the spoiler part of this review. I was gonna say novel. No, I am not writing a novel. All aboard the spoiler train with me. Choo-choo! I guess my one real problem with Lada would be when she starts falling in love with Mehmed is that the viciousness in her just sort of disappears, and there's an actual sentence in the novel where it's like, if she loses him, she has nothing to live for. What happened to the brave little vampire child who just suddenly is hung up on this dude and she's like, I'm gonna die without him, blah, 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 blah. Logistically speaking, like, no, she won't have a place in the kingdom if something happens to him. But there's also like what happened to the drive. At the end, she does earn a little bit of that spunk back, which I really appreciate. This was a very twisted love triangle, and again, book is breaking boundaries. I've never really seen like two siblings fight after one love interest. Having one of those siblings be gay in a historical setting, that was very, very interesting to read about. To have it set in 1500s Turkey, that was like a whole other layer, added a whole other layer to it, and I just thought it was super interesting. The book's ending, the last sentence, was probably one of the most badass sentences I've ever read. She's all like, I'm not the child of the dragon anymore. Boom, I'm coming back to claim my kingdom. I am the dragon. And book. It makes me very excited for the sequel. The whole time in the novel, we were also excited to see what Lada would do when she went back to like her beloved Transylvania, and I'm sure that the second book is gonna open up with that. Also, I'm curious to see how Radu is gonna deal with being in Turkey alone with his one great love who he can never have. It should make for a very interesting sequel, I think. And that about does it for my And I Darken book review. You can follow me on my other bookish adventures on Twitter and Instagram, both at Cuckoo for Books. Please subscribe, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye guys.